This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Scott Howell.
Hello, good neighbors, and welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast, brought to you by the Friends and Neighbors Group of Cleveland and the greater Chattanooga area. Again, my name is Scott Howell, and I'm your host. And for you first-time listeners out there, the purpose of the Good Neighbor Podcast is to bring awareness to the residents of our communities regarding local owned and or operated businesses in the Cleveland, Chattanooga, and surrounding areas. Small local businesses are the backbone of our communities, and they need our support. And joining me today is Marco Biscarini at Vibrant Meals. So thank you for joining us today on the Good Neighbor Podcast, Marco.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
He was teaching me how to say his last name before we started, and we were laughing. I can't roll my R's like I'm supposed to be able to when I say his name. So, Marco, would you say your name correctly for us?
Yeah, it's Marco Biscarini. So depending on the mood that you're in, how much wine you've had, it rolls better sometimes.
So he gave you the correct pronunciation. I gave you the Alabama pronunciation because that's where I'm originally from, is Alabama. So,
I love it.
We do the best we can. All right. Hey, Marco, we're here to learn more about Vibrant Meals and what you have to offer our listeners. But before we jump into that, would you like to share anything with us about yourself or your family?
Yeah, sure. So my wife and I moved here in Chattanooga in she actually moved a little later than I, in 2017. I got out here 2016, give or take. And we have two girls now, Joya, who's 4, and Camila, who's about to turn 3, and they keep us busy. So,
oh, wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful family. That's wonderful. Well, welcome to Chattanooga. You've been here for a while already, obviously, but glad you're with us. And let's just dive in. Vibrant Meals. What's that all about, Marco?
Yeah, so we're all about making healthy eating as convenient and affordable as possible. So our product is really nutrient dense, ready to eat meals. So we take out all the guessing with figuring out macros and the mess that gets made in the kitchen when you have to cook your own meal, and you just pop a meal in a microwave for 2 minutes and it's ready to eat. And it's all fresh, all local. You're not getting it shipped from all the way out in Texas or Chicago. It's all sourced and made right here in Middle Tennessee. So.
Well, I can fully relate to the mess making. I tell people if there's any possible way to make a mess, I will find it, especially in the kitchen. Oh my goodness. That's a great business opportunity for you, and it's a wonderful opportunity for everyone out there who likes to eat healthy, but maybe doesn't have time for meal prep or doesn't want to make the time for meal prep. So it's great to know you're out there. Tell us about your journey. How did you decide to get into this business?
Well, I don't know that I really did decide to get into this business. It kind of happened by accident. Long story short, I actually came out here to work at a venture incubator. It was called Lamppost Group back in the day. It's since kind of changed names, changed direction. But I was out here, family moved out here from Italy, and I came out for this internship for 9 months and was supposed to go back to California for another job I had lined up. And to make a long story a little shorter, my now wife was still living in California, but she wanted to move out of California, and she was meal prepping for professional UFC fighters, for various celebrities. She was essentially a personal chef. And I saw what she was doing. I said, man, this is really neat, but you can't really scale yourself. You are the product. You're cooking for these people. You're coming to their homes. It's amazing. It gave her a great, knowledge and experience. But as soon as she moved out here in Tennessee, I said, hey, let me build you a website. I was working in software at the time and working with various startups, and had a startup of my own, built her first website. And, a couple weeks later, she's like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm passionate about food. This business side, it's giving me a headache. So I helped her out a little more. We actually formed the company. So officially our fiscal start was January 2017. Okay. And then 3 months into it, we hire our first employee. A month after that, we hire a second. And then about 6 months from inception's when I came fully on board, and it kind of just took off from there.
Okay. So
it's been a journey.
the business kind of chose you, didn't it, Marco?
To a degree, there was a need. I knew that there was a need for healthier options in Chattanooga at the time. I mean, there wasn't really much of anything.
Yeah.
And coming from California, coming from Italy, where we had better access to, more intentional food, maybe you could say, or more nutrient dense food, that was really something that I personally wanted, and then got sucked into the vortex.
And what is your wife's name again?
Her name's Romana.
So Romana is in California. She's a personal chef and meal prepping for the stars, for very athletes and people like that. It's amazing how many people have come here from California to Chattanooga, of all places, and we're connected some way or another to stars and celebrities and people. I've had the opportunity to interview a lot of people, just amazing stories. And I love this story. So she comes here, and now she's meal prepping for the people of Chattanooga. So thankful to know y'all are out there. So, and that's a wonderful journey. But sometimes people, they're a little bit have some misconceptions about meal prepping. They don't know, they've never done it, don't know really how to do it healthy. Some of us Southern folks, we were raised on unhealthy food, and we want to do better, but we don't really know how, and we don't know who to trust to do it right. So there's one misconception I want to ask you about. So someone who is kind of a picky eater, and they don't just like everything that they probably should like to eat healthy, and they're kind of intimidated about meal prepping. Kind of help someone with that's coming with that misconception.
Yeah, no, that's a fair misconception. I think that the short of it is this: since early days, it was Romana and I. Neither of us were traditionally trained in a kitchen. Once we got to size, we started hiring better and better talent. Eventually here in Chattanooga, we hired somebody that had worked at St. John's, Elia's, and had been around the block, if you will. Yes. So really, we were bringing to the people of greater Chattanooga, as we reach all the way out to Cleveland, and now we're actually we're technically based out of Nashville now. But anyhow, we take gourmet meals and package them essentially into a smaller form factor that is healthier, but also way more affordable. I mean, you go to St. John's or any restaurant nowadays, you're spending $25, $30 a plate easy, whereas our average is still around $11 per dish. And it's the same kind of quality, if not better, because we source better ingredients typically. And it's just portioned into a single portion meal, right? So all that to say that really our meals are not just chicken, rice, and broccoli, and there are meal preps that serve that, and there's an audience for that. But ours is really more, think restaurant in a small form factor that you can take around with you, that's easy to eat, and that is balanced for the right. And we have we go after different types of diets too. So we have paleo. Most of our meals are gluten-free and dairy-free, but we have paleo, Whole30, plant-based, keto meals. You name it, low carb.
St. John's and Amelia are definitely, top quality places to get a good meal. But, most people don't eat there every day. So it's nice to know when you're buying a meal prepping plan, you're getting the same type of quality food, but that you're eating on a daily basis. And if you're, like you said, if those macros matter to you, you're in any kind of weight loss process or muscle building process, whatever it might be, it's definitely nice to know that you're out there for our listeners. Yeah. So let's step out of the business for a moment. You and Romana, y'all have two beautiful little girls. What do y'all do for fun?
Well, we certainly eat for fun. We definitely like to eat out, experience new things as much as we can. I've recently gotten my wife and kids into mountain biking, so we do a bit of that.
Oh wow, really? Awesome.
That was way more difficult than I imagined. I had a trailer with both kids in it, so I was pulling about 100 pounds on the trails, going up and down over roots and rocks. We still like to travel a lot, so we try to go back to Italy at least once or twice a year. We try to get to the beach, every so often. We, having come from the ocean, we kind of miss, proximity to that, so we try to get there as often as we can. But,
absolutely. So, I usually like to ask this question because it's one that makes us relate to one another. It's a little personal, but can you describe a hardship or life challenge maybe that y'all have went through that, you know, since you've rose above it and you look back, you know it's made you stronger or better for it?
Oh, to pick one is hard. I'll say this. There's kind of a backbone to our business, if you will. You know,
Yeah.
we're just stewards of what we've been entrusted with this business.
Yeah.
You know, and God's really shown himself through this business in many ways. I mean, again, with neither of us having a culinary background, you know, I had a tech and business background. My wife was passionate about food, but this all, you know, it's not an accident, but we all serendipitously kind of ended up in this. There have been some challenges that I never would have been able to foresee or anticipate. And COVID really was kind of the catalyst for a lot of that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
not in the traditional sense. We had two employees take their lives, not purposefully. It was through OD, so like rise of fentanyl, and we
Oh,
were
wow.
very close to those. So we are early and still now kind of pipeline, if you will, for employees was through our church, and they had a rehabilitation program
Yes.
for ex addicts. So half of our workforce came from that, you know, and being
Yeah.
naive, we gladly brought these people in with open arms, and it's been an incredible experience. You know, it's been a humbling experience. You know, I've learned so
Yeah.
much. We've cried together. We've done everything together, and we've gotten extremely close with all of these people. And one of them in particular, who was one of our managers for a while, she worked with us for about 5 years, and then, you know, she passed away. So that was a hard thing to go through. You know, it made the business way
Yeah.
more
No doubt.
personal than I would have ever wanted it to become. But it also
Yeah.
taught me, you know, that we're doing a lot more than just making food for people, that we're serving to other people, making other people's lives better. We're also doing that internally with our company, you know, and we now employ almost 50 people in the state of Tennessee. So, I mean, we're, you know, grassroots, started with nothing, and we're growing, and we're trying to grow as intentionally as possible and really make sure that we take care of our own first. And we've got some scars that we've got along the way that have made us, you know, stronger, a little more resilient, you know, a little more
Sure.
sensitive to some degree, but
Sure.
also now that I have a family, protecting them, figuring out, you know, what does that look like? What is the balance of being personable as a boss versus, you know, setting boundaries? A lot of it has taught me to delegate more too, you know, because
Yeah.
no one person can run the show now. You know, it really requires a dedicated team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's not extremely precise, but that's you know, that's some of the ugly truth or background of what
Yeah.
goes on that a lot of people never see or hear about. And you still got to wake up every day and, you know, and
First for
grind.
Yeah. I was involved in a ministry to help folks with any kind of addiction, whether it was a drug or alcohol, or even we had bulimics. We had, you know, people come in that had gambling issues. We just tried to support everybody and help them. And it's horrible when you get close to somebody and you lose someone due to that same addiction that you're trying to help them through. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I experienced that myself. So sorry for your loss.
Yeah, no, thank you.
But when we talk about the business, a lot of times, you know, we talked about misconceptions. We talked about what you do, what you offer. But if there was one thing that you wish our listeners knew about Vibrant Meals that they probably won't know unless you tell them, and you like to shout it from the rooftop, what would it be?
It's a good question. You know, I think to your question earlier about the misconception of, you know, what's quality like with it being a meal prep meal, you know, a meal that maybe sits in the fridge for a few days, right?
Yes.
I think most people are wildly surprised when they try Vibrant Meals for the first time and realize that, wow, this is actually better than a lot of the restaurants I've been to, and at a fraction of the cost. And oh, it's better for me because we use, you know, healthier oils and healthier everything. You know, everything is dialed in on our recipes, right? Um, so I think flavors really become, you know, really started off with a focus on athletes. So our meals
Yeah.
were more hardcore, if you will. And then we
Yeah.
realized the need was so much greater. You know, there was more of a lifestyle commodity
Sure.
fit. And that's kind of more of where we've grown. But there's still the fringe benefit of people having a healthier life and feeling better because they're eating meals that are good for them. But along the way, you're not compromising on taste. So
Right.
I'd
Absolutely.
say that's probably the one thing is you try it once, experience it. The team's extremely talented. They put a lot of effort into the recipes we come out with. I'll give you an example. We had our R&D days are on Tuesdays, my favorite day of the week. The chef in Nashville, Cisco, he made this, very tender steak dish with a date balsamic demi-glaze that was drizzled over top of the steak with then roasted potatoes and asparagus. And it was phenomenal. I mean, something that you would pay $50 for in a restaurant, and we're sending it out for $12.99. And it was amazing. So,
wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I tell you what, it's been a pleasure meeting you, but I know people are saying, hey, how do I get a hold of Vibrant Meals? How can I find out more? So whether online or offline, however that you want people to communicate with you, share that with us now.
Yeah, so we're actually the number one meal prep in Tennessee now, which is awesome. Couldn't have gotten there without the team. Most of Middle Tennessee is serviceable via online, so direct to consumer. Order online, have your meals delivered. We partner with over 30 or so pickup locations. So those are a combination of gyms, offices, and whatnot. Now, Chattanooga is a little different because we actually have, that's where we started. We have our original store over on Cherokee, North Shore Boulevard, or Cherokee Boulevard, sorry. We have an actual retail store. Then we also have another one off on Main Street next to Meadloves. And then we have another one in Erlanger. So there are more ways to get Vibrant Meals in the greater Chattanooga area. We're probably going to be adding one in Hamilton Place soon. So there you have the option to shop the store 6-7 days a week versus ordering online and having it delivered. So it gives you one other way to get the meals.
So you can go there and visibly pick out what you want. So that's all. All right. Well, how would they? Is there one place they could go to find the contact numbers? All these different places in Chattanooga. Is there like a Facebook
so if you go
page or website?
myvibrantmeals.com is the best place. You scroll to the bottom. There's a phone number that either goes to our retails or our customer service team. There's also emails in there as well that will get them in touch with the right people. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hey, well, if to all our listeners out there, if you're listening, if you're looking for a place to find good, healthy meals to have on a daily basis, to take to work with you, whatever it might be, it sounds like we found a good place. Vibrant Meals, they have a few locations in Chattanooga. Go to their website, as he mentioned, and find these locations, the phone numbers. And Marco, it has been a pleasure meeting you today and hearing about your business and your family. And we wish you much continued success.
Thank you, Scott. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, our pleasure is all ours. And to all the good neighbors of the Cleveland and greater Chattanooga area, after meeting Marco and learning more about the Vibrant Meal program, I know he hopes you'll take a moment to consider all they have to offer and remember them when you need or want the products and services that they provide. And before ending this episode, I would like to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy day to visit with us at the Good Neighbor Podcast. Always remember to support the locally owned and or operated businesses in Cleveland and the greater Chattanooga area. This is Scott Howell with the Friends and Neighbors Group. Everyone go out and make this a remarkable day.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpcleveland.com. That's gnpcleveland.com or call 423-380-1984.